They may become hospitalized, but then they continue to keep drinking even after getting out of the hospital. That's alcoholism at its finest. Hello, my name is Pej. I'm an interventionist. I help people with alcoholism, with addiction, and with mental health. Today we're going to talk about alcoholics and alcoholism. Alcoholics are a very interesting breed of humanity because there's so many different types. There's the wino, there's the hard drinker, there's the casual drinker, there's the drinker that is like a weekend warrior. There's one that not always drinks, but when they do, they go hard. There's the belligerent drinker. There's the drinker that will drink themselves into oblivion. There's the secretive drinker, the isolator, the person that drinks alone, the one that likes to be in social settings. There's so many different variations of alcoholics and alcoholism. How does it even originate? I mean, there are a lot of scientific facts that are professed and talked about that alcoholism is actually a genetic disorder. A lot of times, a lot of people that will get into drinking, it happens because they were either brought up inside of a family that has alcoholism in it, and it's also been going on for years and years, for centuries, within their own hereditary background. There are people who have no alcoholism in their upbringing, nobody that was actually a drinker, not even their grandparents or great-grandparents, but they themselves will turn to alcohol because it becomes something that they become addicted to, and they will drink in many different types of settings. There are some people that live in an environment where alcohol is readily available from a very young age, so they can get their hands on it, whether their parents are letting them try some in social settings and things like that, or they're seeking it at a very young age, sometimes in their youth, sometimes in their adolescent period. And then there's some people that go out and obtain it, whether they are having somebody buy it for them from a liquor store or from a grocery store, and they'll start drinking. I mean, let's be real. Most kids that are in high school will either turn to alcohol and marijuana first. A lot of times when kids are partying, they are at a party where there's a keg with beer. I think most people have had experience with that, where people are lined up at the keg of beer and they're basically filling their cups and they're getting trash drunk, or they're just drinking casually, recreationally amongst their friends. And so alcohol is obviously legal in most states for anyone that's 21 and up, to my knowledge, unless it's lower for some states. But regardless of the fact, it becomes a certain type of substance that people think that it's okay. It can also become a killer because a lot of people will drive behind the wheel under the influence of alcohol, and they may put some other people's lives at risk, let alone their own. There are people that, a lot of fathers that are in a family type setting that think it is okay to go out and have some drinks, whether it's at the bar or they might go get some alcohol, some beer, and just have a few to take the edge off at night. Or people that drink wine casually. There's a lot of women that like to drink wine, and there's a big difference between having a few glasses of wine or having a few beers than a person that actually depends on drinking every single day or night in order to just function in everyday life, in order to be able to fall asleep at night. Yes, when you drink alcohol, you rest easy, but it depends. I mean, if a person has dinner and it's some kind of romantic setting, or just a familial type of setting where some people from the family are drinking together and eating dinner, and then everybody goes home and it's a safe night, that's one thing. But for a person that drinks to the point where they're where they're belligerent, where they may say certain things or act certain ways, or a person that might have some trauma that they're actually drinking to overcome their trauma or not have to feel and just numb out. A person with a nervous disposition, they need to be able to drink in order to calm their nerves and not have to deal with certain types of stresses that may be actually real, that are actually going on in their lives, where they may be, certain types of stresses that they brought upon themselves, and they think that the only way that they're going to be able to overcome those is by drinking alcohol. As I said, there's so many different types of alcoholism, but how do you help an alcoholic? I mean, what do you really do? So if alcohol becomes a problem in your life or your loved one's life, and you see that it's their everything, it basically comes before you or your family. It comes before everyday living. If you find that your loved one or you yourself is drinking around the clock, drinking at work, finding certain types of liquor that won't stay on your breath, is drinking while, driving, or has drank and then started driving a car, and somebody that's getting DUIs, DWIs, 502s is what we used to call them. Certain things like that is when your alcoholism is becoming your everything and getting in the way of everyday living, then this can become a serious problem. There are people that also get a lot of medical effects as a result of drinking alcohol, like cirrhosis of the liver, or their liver gets affected highly from drinking a lot. And they continue to keep drinking, even after a doctor warns them. These are, things that could definitely go in a direction where they may be fatal. They may end up obviously going through delirium tremens and many other different effects that alcohol can have on a person, hallucinations and things like that. Alcohol poisoning, the body is pretty much drank in excess to the point where the body's shutting down. They may experience seizures, they may become hospitalized, but then they continue to keep drinking even after getting out of the hospital. That's alcoholism at its finest. There's a lot of people that will get a wet brain, certain types of tumors that are created as a result of drinking in excess, and they may never be the same. They may never be able to function the same. They will drink till the day that they die. These are major things that can happen to a person, and so they need to be intervened on. However it may be, whether it's through a family intervention, whether it's through a group of friends that come together. Sometimes you need a professional. You can call me or another interventionist, and we come together and try to help alcoholics. Now, what I have noticed is that when it comes to doing interventions with alcoholics, the interventions are a lot easier to do. Not always. Sometimes an alcoholic will shut you out until you get out of their house or their living situation or living environment. But in most cases, a lot of times when I'm doing an intervention on somebody who has alcoholism, it does go a lot smoother. I can connect to them because I was them once, as opposed to, let's say, for example, somebody with meth addiction or with heroin addiction or fentanyl addiction. It seems like a lot of the alcoholism interventions go a lot smoother. There is hope. Doesn't matter what age somebody is, doesn't matter if they've been drinking for years and years and decades. Every single person, I believe, that suffers with alcoholism has the ability to get better, definitely, as long as they really become willing. And how do we get somebody to that point? Well, like I said, through an intervention. A lot of times, a lot of people, interventions for alcoholics has been going on for decades and centuries. There's a lot of obviously, alcohol has been around for forever, right? For centuries. So a lot of people will have problems that have happened in their lives, and it's affecting their lives, it's affecting their families, it's affecting their work, it's affecting their status in the community, because they may get multiple DUIs, or they've now become incarcerated, or they're facing prison time. Obviously, there are 12-step groups that specialize in helping people with alcoholism. I believe that I personally have witnessed many people that do go into treatment, that do get involved in the 12-step world, get their lives back and get to have these big, beautiful lives and overcome drinking. And yes, we do it one day at a time, but we do it one day at a time for the rest of our lives, for those of us that are here to stay. So if you or somebody that you know is suffering with alcoholism, or is an alcoholic or a potential alcoholic, or you're not quite sure, would love to be able to talk to you. I will never pronounce you an alcoholic. I'll let you diagnose yourself, but definitely would love to talk with you and see what's going on if you're suffering or if your loved one is suffering. You can call me at 310-596-9356. My name is Paige.